Happy New Year. New Year. I know it doesn't seem like New Year, but it is for us. This is where we begin our whole history of salvation through the readings, through the Sundays that we celebrate. This is the beginning of it all. And we have to put ourselves in the mindset of what it was like to be in a world before Jesus. So we've never lived in a world that didn't have that. We've always known that the historical person of Jesus has been in our history. But there was a time when the historical Jesus was not in our history. He was called the Messiah, the Anointed, the Christ. And people didn't know the time or the hour when he was to appear. They longed for him. Our first reading this morning from Isaiah is about the Babylonian captivity and how all of the promising people of Israel were swept up and taken to the court of the king of Babylon for about 50 years. And at the end of that, their country, their families, cried to God year after year after year, please, please send us the one. Send us the Messiah. Send us the anointed one that will make your will happen on earth. They begged and pleaded. At the end of the chapter of Isaiah, we hear this beautiful verse. We are the clay, you are the potter. All of us are the work of your hands. Remember, God, we are your people. It is this desperate cry. Please come back to us. Come be with us. This is the Advent that we celebrate, the coming of the Christ, the coming of the Anointed. It was God's will to enter into time in the person of Jesus. Christ has always been with us. Christ knows no time. It is Jesus who knows time. Jesus, both God and man. Jesus came to us to teach us about God's love so that we could understand that in our own terms, in our own ways. He came to teach us, to be with us mostly, to love us. He came to us. Our job is to learn how to be like him. He taught us that in humanity, every grace that is necessary for God's will to be done resides in our hearts. He came to teach us that what God desires of us is love of God, love of neighbor, love of self. He came to teach us that no matter what we think about what the future may be, God is forever with us. Forever. Emmanuel, God with us. Right now. Corrie ten Boom, who was a Dutch Christian, Corrie, is that Well, let me tell you what Corrie had to say. She said, it's okay to have an unknown future when you have a known God. It's okay to have an unknown future when you have a known God. None of us know the time or the day or the hour. We can't just say, oh, well, we don't have to worry about it, it's God's time. Yet it truly is. But we're not to be passive. We are to keep awake. We don't know what tomorrow brings. We don't know what 10 seconds from now brings. What we do know, because Jesus became like us in all things but sin, is that in our future, however unknown it is, we know God will be with us. God loves us. Let that anxiety of life go. God's wonderful, loving will is done. No matter what tomorrow brings, what we know is that God loves us. That's what we know. Our job is to love God and neighbor back. These are simple messages. They're repeated a lot. But it's the core, central work of our faith. It is how we act on our salvation. It is how we act because we are loved by God from the beginning of time. God is out of time. God has loved us, and it is God's will that we are united with God again. And it will happen. It's not our will. It's God's will. We sometimes believe that the whole world revolves around what we see in the mirror. And the truth is, it does not. It is God's will. What we really need to do is look into the eyes of those who love us and those we love. In that, we will see the presence of God. The presence of God in our world. Here's your Advent homework. Ooh, did that sound too principal-ish? Man, I made you all sit up on that. I'm sorry. Here's your Advent homework. Is that a better time? Sorry. Our job in Advent is to await Jesus. We are awaiting the Messiah. We are able to be fashioned by God who has given us to be clay. So everything that we are, and everything that we do, and everything that we become in our lives is fashioned by God in God's love. Everything. Our job in Advent is to await Jesus. Await Christ, the Messiah. Your assignment is this. Look for God. Look for God. Where are you going to find God? Oh my. This is the best assignment ever. Where are you going to find God? And I have the answer. Because I don't want you to struggle with this. Okay? I don't want you to think he didn't teach that. You know, that's what kids always say. They didn't teach me that. Were you listening? Keep awake. Here's the secret. Your job, my job, this Advent is to look for God. Okay? Here's how you do it. Ready? I'm giving you the answer, so when the test comes at Christmas, you will have the answer. Are you ready? You have to look for God, so that means look for love. Look for love. Look in places that you might be surprised. You see, sometimes we get an idea that God can only be here, because this is church. God better be here. Well, God is everywhere. We better be aware that God is always here. Not about us, it's about God. Sometimes we get used to seeing God in certain places. What Advent should teach us, opening our hearts to where God is present in us. You see, that's the beauty of Jesus amongst us. in our humanity, we can find God through the eyes of Jesus. Your job and mine, look for God in unexpected places. Think of what fun you're going to have looking for God. We are the clay. You are the potter. We are all out there too. All of us. The work of God's hands. Look for God.